Good afternoon, Floss Tube. It's Julie with Reflections Framing and Stitching. This is a special edition Out of the Stash at Last video. Tomorrow is October the 1st, and we will be starting our Out of the Stash at Last challenge. So I thought I would make a video, show you the last few items that I dug around and found that I'm considering. In fact, one of them, I'm not going to tell you which one, but one of them is a definite yes. But I'm not going to tell you which one. You'll just have to tune in whichever week I decide to start it in. So this is just a video to go over that and to remind everyone that tomorrow's the day, and to invite everyone to join in if you haven't heard about it before. Quick recap is Out of the Stash at Last. It was an idea I had when I was watching some people's videos, and they were talking about things that they've had in their stash for a long time but have never started, and it got me to thinking about all the things that I have in my stash that have been languishing for years and years and years. And I decided that that might be a fun thing to do because we had to cancel our retreat in October. I thought it might be a fun activity for everyone to do in October. Not to replace retreat, because you really can't replace retreat, but to maybe help with the sadness that we are all feeling, I think, because we didn't have retreat or can't have retreat. So anyway, the concept behind it is you choose 4 different projects that have been languishing for years and years. Not ones you bought a month ago, but ones that you have passed over yet you still want to stitch. Because I know tastes can change, but like Paula Vaughn, I still love all my Paula Vaughns, and I would still like to stitch them all, and I've had them forever. So it's things that you still want to stitch, but for some reason you just continually pass over for newer things or other things. Let's bring them out of the bins and out of under the bed boxes and out of the file cabinet, and let's start them. So choose 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you haven't already done it, you have time. You only need 1 for the first week. So we'll stitch 1 each week of October. So starting tomorrow, you start 1, you stitch on it till next Wednesday. You need to post your beginning picture, for instance, like the chart, the fabric, the floss, the chart name. If you know what your fabric is, share that. If you've changed some flosses, you might want to share that, just so that people aren't constantly asking, what is this, what is this, what is this? And you do that. You need to start at the beginning. So you'll post that on Instagram to the hashtag Out of the Stash at Last tomorrow morning. You could do it tonight if you wanted to. That's fine. Stitching doesn't start until tomorrow. So you work on that piece for a week. Next Wednesday, I don't have the dates in my head, but next Wednesday night after you finish your stitching, or very early on Thursday morning prior to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, post your finishing picture of, not that you finished it, but what you've managed to get done in the week. And everyone that follows the criteria will their name will be put in a drawing for a prize for that week. You can post pictures throughout the week of your progress. If you want to post a picture every night when you're done stitching, that would be awesome. I would love that. But that's not part of the criteria. Let's see, is there anything else? So we will finish up on that Wednesday night. It's not the last day of October. It's something like the 28th, I think. So we'll finish up that night posting your very last picture before 10 a.m. on that Thursday. I think it's, I don't know, whatever day it is that it ends. Yeah, that's the weekend. So it's a Wednesday, or yeah, that would be right. I'm just shooting off my hip, guys. I'm sorry. But we'll have a drawing every week for everyone that follows the criteria. I did another stash dive, so I'm going to show you some of the other things that I pulled out. I've got some questions from the last video out of the stash that I will try and answer. I may not be able to answer in this video because I left some things at home. And what else? What else was I going to talk about? I was going to talk a little bit about where I've been and what's been going on, because I know there's some people that are concerned. So I'm trying to get this done before the phone rings again. This is my other video, the phone kept ringing. Yeah, okay, so where do I want to start? How about I do the stitching thing, and then we can discuss where I've been and what's going on in my life. So the questions from last time. Tara asked me what is my method for keeping track of where I've stitched on large projects. I know a lot of you use your tablet and put your chart on your tablet, and you can somehow mark it off that way. I'm old school. I make a working copy, and I use a highlighter, and I mark it off as I go. I don't use different colors. The only reason I would use different colors is if I've lost my highlighter. So whatever highlighter happens to be in my hand at the time is the color that I'll use to mark it off. And that has always worked for me. You do have to be careful that you don't get highlighter on your stitching. That can happen. But otherwise, and they do make an erasable highlighter that works pretty good. Like if you make a mistake and have to rip out, you can also erase what you've colored in, if that helps you. But that's, Tara, that's how I do mine. I know it's old school. The younger people, I think, use their tablets, but it's always worked for me, so that's what I do. And there's always a highlighter. I don't need electricity or anything, so I can do it if I'm sitting outside. That's my 2 cents worth. Cindy Martinez, you asked about the Santas in the magazine. I have them pulled out, the magazines I mean, but I left them on the kitchen table. So I will put that information in the box below, the description box below, and perhaps I will add a little blurb to the very end of this video once I get home. Lorraine asked about the Amish triptych that I have part 1 done of. That was first published in a series of magazines called Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, and it's, I believe, I don't know if it's called Amish triptych meaning 3, but I know it also came out in a leaflet form, and I think there's a book running around out there that's called The Best of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, and I think it's in there too. So there's several different places you can find it. I don't happen to know, because that piece did not make the cut, so I did not pull out the magazine. But I'm sure that someone here probably knows, so if maybe you could leave a comment for Lorraine, if you know which magazines that was actually in, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I will try and find it and post it in the description. You also wanted to know the series of buildings, where they were from, and I have those magazines sitting on my kitchen table. So again, I will try and put it in the comments section or add a blurb to the end of this. And then I just wanted to say there were several people that commented on the size of my mug. That's actually my small mug. I have a bigger one. That's why my guns are so big. Just kidding. I have no guns. No, I drink a lot of water, and I hate refilling it all the time. So I don't like water in a bottle. I have to have ice, and lots of ice. So that's why the big mug. And I drink about 2 of those every day. That, I think, takes care of most of the questions from the last Out of the Stash video. So I think we will start. I had shown a couple of Department 56 books in that last video, and I mentioned that there were others, and I did find them. So I thought I would briefly show you. There's the Christmas in the City series, and I'd like to show you all of the many, but I don't know that there's a picture of all of them. And there is a lot of different so there's like Potter's Tea Cellar. This is awkward. Variety Store. Heritage Museum of Art. Haberdashery. That's a cool word to say. I like that one. I don't think we have haberdasheries here in the U.S., but I like the word. Music Emporium. I like Emporium too. It's fun to say. The Doctor's Office. Arts Academy. Little Italy restaurant. Dorothy's Dress Shop. I think I have Dorothy's Dress Shop in my Christmas village. That's packed away. Probably never to see the light of day again. Toy Shop and Pet Store. Every time I look at these, I want to dig out my village and set it up. Hank's Market. Brokerage House. Spring Street Coffee House. A lot of charts in these. Chocolate Shop. I'm trying to go fast. And Red Brick Fire Station. So there's that one. And then there's the New England Village series. Looks like this. So I think there's a total of 4 books. This one has Bluebird Seed and Bulb. The Pigeon Head Lighthouse. Doesn't look like a pigeon head. Sleepy Hollow School. Jacob Adams Barn. Ann Shaw Toys. Blue Star Ice Company. I think I have that building. I know I have an ice company in my village. Nathaniel Bingham's Fabrics. I do not have that one. Arlington Falls Church. Ben's Barbershop. McGreeb Cutters and Sleighs. That one sounds familiar too. I may have that one. Oh, the back stitching on these. Ada's Bed and Boarding House. Janice Mullet Amish Barn. Not sure how you pronounce that first name. Captain's Cottage. Smith Woolen Mill. Yankee Judd Bell Casting. I think that was one I wanted, but I haven't gotten it. And I think that's it for these books. So, and you can get them for like, I don't know, between 12 and 20 bucks probably, and that's a lot of charts for that. So if they interest you, just look on eBay and sometimes on Amazon and possibly Etsy. So another choice I might make is from Told in the Garden, and it's called Song of the People. This is an oldie but a goodie. The chart is hand-drawn, so it's a little bit difficult to read. These are my colors, and I'm just going to stitch it on a beigey color. This is actually the back side of Vintage Country Mocha. I'm not going to do it on the printed side. And it's a 25 count because I want to do that 25 count over one because it's a big piece and I don't want it quite that big. So my plan would be, if I were to choose this, and keep in mind I haven't decided, 25 count over one. This is an old kit. It's from Sunset, and it's, gosh, 2003. So it's pretty old. It's houses. I think we have established the fact that I enjoy houses. It's called Winter on Main Street. And I had to cut, it came with Ada. I had to add new fabric, so it's a 40 count antique white is what I probably will do that on, if I do it. Another option, I have a couple of chatelaines in my stash that I'm pondering. They're fully kitted. So I have the Medieval Town Mandala, and I've got all the stuffies for it. And I may have shown this one, but I have another one that I have the chart, I have all the stuff, I couldn't find the chart, and so I had to order it again just so I could have it, just in case. And that one is the peacock mandala, sparkling peacock mandala. So that's another option I might do. But it's not one of my older ones, and I really want to keep to the spirit by choosing older things. So that one's probably not going to happen. Probably the chatelaines won't happen, but you never know. You never know. This little guy, my pile is going to fall. This little guy is from, let me see if I can find what it's from, January 2013. So he's not real old either. But I have passed him over several times. I'm going to guess I'm going to pass him over this time too, because I haven't kitted him up. But I thought I'd show it to you just because I think he's cute. He's Leonardo Noel. Isn't he cute? That's an elf with attitude. What did I say? January 2013, cross stitch and needlework. And he's adorable. I've always wanted to stitch him. I think what prevents me from doing so is blended threads, and it has quite a few different Algerian stars and something called a fly stitch and couching, none of which I've ever done. Well, Algerian stars I've stitched, but not the rest of this. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that this is going to make the cut. We'll see. But he's not, I haven't pulled anything for him, so I'm going to guess no at this point. Another magazine. A lot of these are from magazines because that's where I mostly got my stash from, was out of magazines back in the day. We didn't have a chart here in Omaha after I moved to Omaha. The shop that we had closed. So then we'd have to go to Des Moines was the next closest place, and I don't drive the interstate, so that didn't happen very often. So a lot of my older stuff is from magazines. This one is from Stitcher's World, which was one of my favorite magazines. It's November 1999, so that qualifies as old. And it is, I'm looking to see, does it have a name? I'm sure it has a name. Holiday Airing. And it looks like that. It's so pretty. So, so pretty. I don't know. I may have missed. This is the floss. Oh, I think I messed my floss up. This is the floss for Holiday Airing. It's got that purple in it. I don't know where my floss went for the other. I wonder if I put it all together. Please. I don't think so. I don't know. Anyway, that's an option too, because I've got the floss ready and the fabric ready. It's just going on white. Next up, this is falling out. So this is again from an old magazine. It's from Cross Stitch and Needlework, again, October 1996. And I think this is gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. It is the it was the 250th anniversary of DMC in 1996. And this sampler was designed to commemorate that. It's now closer to 275 years. Like next year will be 275 years. But isn't that pretty? I just think that's gorgeous. I have some 40 count vintage fawn that I'm going to stitch it on, should I choose it. And I just dropped one of my flosses on the floor. My setup is not real good. Anyway, this is my bundle of, obviously I don't have them in my floss away bags yet, but that will happen tonight. So that's a contender. That could happen. This next one is also from a magazine. It's a set of 3, but I'd only be doing the one. And it's from the Cross Stitcher from June 1999. And it's the Notions one, but there's also threads and buttons. I have the magazine for buttons, and I realized I did not have the magazine for threads, so I found it online and I've ordered it. But I would be doing the Notions one. Unfortunately, when I pulled the colors, because I'd never done that before, I didn't really care for them. They were a little too bright for my tastes. So I did a conversion, and I dumbed them down a little bit. So if you've stitched it, these colors will look a little bit different from what you stitched it in. But those are the colors. And I'm just going to stitch it on. What did I choose? Patriots Brew. 40 count Patriots Brew. So it took us a while to figure out because it's charted for anchor, so then I had to find a conversion to DMC, and then I had to convert that DMC to DMC that I liked, so that took a while. But I really like that. And finally, and this one is not maybe necessarily mine, but I did want to show it to you because it's one of my favorites. Dan said he wanted to stitch it. He's not going to join us in this challenge. But I wanted to show it to you because I've been waiting for him to stitch it and he hasn't started it. And I did consider doing it myself. But probably I won't. So it's also from a magazine. It is from a magazine called Cross Stitch Sampler. It's winter 1994. And it looks like this. It's a game board, but it's got the farm scene kind of on it. Let me hold that this side so you can see the barn on that end. This is solid stitching, this is solid stitching, and the gray squares are solid stitching. So it's a lot of stitching, but it's so pretty. And I did ponder doing it, but I will let you know I'm not going to. This one I'm not going to, but I wanted to show it to you. Magazines, old magazines, there are a lot of hidden treasures in there. For those of you who did not stitch back in the day, back in the 90s, magazines used to have a lot of wonderful, wonderful designs in them. And then I did a little shopping, I think I told you in my last video, but I didn't have the charts yet. So I was going to show you them. These are not part of Out of the Stash at Last, but I thought I would show them to you, just so you can kind of see them. I don't think I've shown them. Did I show them? I don't think so. This one is called Uninvited Guest. Isn't that cool? There's a lot of shades of gray in there. This is called So and So Street. So as in S-E-W. I'm not sure why, but I think it's got something to do with the names on these buildings. Which, again, there's a theme here. Buildings, villages. This one, the colors got to me. It's called Mandala 51. And I just think the colors are stunning. And finally, this one is called Black Fury. The chances of my ever stitching these are slim to none, but you never know. They're so pretty, but they're, you know, they're full coverage. They're huge. Absolutely freaking huge. So, you know, 450 by 356, 550 by 412, 242 by 295. That's probably the smallest one. 300 by 300. So they are not small. But that ends my stash dive for this year. I had fun going through my stash and my magazines. I had pretty much go through probably 3/4 of my magazines before I ran across that. I knew I was looking for that DMC sampler, but I couldn't remember which magazine it was in. As in, you know, was it Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, or was it Sampler World, or, you know, I could not remember what it was in. So I spent a lot of time digging through magazines this week. But I found it, and I'm really happy I did. I think it's a beautiful piece, and the colors are stunning. So anyway, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to stitch. And I've already told you I'll be doing Manor at Peacock Hill. So I just need 3 more. And I don't know how I'm going to narrow it down, because now I got that excitement rolling. Hold on just a minute. I'm back. My facilities manager was at the door, and I had sent them an email this morning about the amount of sand that's out there left over from winter last year. Now we're going to go into winter and have even more sand. And a lot of cigarette butts, and it's just looking kind of trashy out there. So I sent an email this morning and said, is there anything we can do about that? And he was just stopping by to tell me he's going to take care of it. So that was nice of him. I do not remember where I was, though. I have no idea what I was talking about before he stopped in. So I will talk a little bit about what has been going on in the last couple of weeks and why I haven't been around. It kind of started, we're coming up on the anniversary of my parents, the 1-year anniversary of their passing. So Dad passed away a year ago in October, and Mom passed a year ago in November, and they've been on my mind a lot, and I'm having a little trouble. I think because they died right before the holidays hit, and then we were busy. Then I was busy getting ready for market hit, and then we got home from market and COVID hit, and it's been just this scramble trying to keep up with all the things going on with that I really haven't had time to process that they're gone. And so it's been hitting me more recently. They've been on my mind an awful lot. and I tend to just kind of turn inward. So that's part of it, is I just haven't been in the right frame of mind to make a video. And then my mom's last remaining sibling, my Uncle Jack, lives up in the Sandhills. He broke his hip, and there's a possibility he might have bone cancer, but we haven't got the results of his biopsy because UNMC's computer system was hacked and being held for ransom, and they still haven't got it up and running, so we still don't know whether he has bone cancer. He's in rehab for his hip. They did go ahead and repair it or replace it, I'm not sure which. But now his wife has tested positive for COVID. He has tested positive for COVID. One of the daughter-in-law has tested positive. My other cousin is getting tested today. His brother has symptoms. He's waiting for his results. So now we have that on top of the other stress that's been going on with the hip surgery and everything. And so that has kind of been worrying me. And then it's been just kind of busy at the shop. And then last week I was sick all week with, I don't know what it was, headache and stomach issues. So that is where I have been. I think it's just kind of been a little overwhelming, and I am feeling better, which is helping. My headache is mostly gone. It's still kind of there. Stomach feels much better this week than it did last week. And so I'm feeling much better and in a better mood and ready to talk to y'all again. So again, I apologize for being gone. Everyone else in the family is doing okay. Reese had a double ear infection. Otherwise, the kids have all been good. And I've been busy with, I think I mentioned we're going to do a remodel. And I think the people we're going with came, and they said the way they do it is they just charge for labor, and you go out and you find all your stuff. So your cabinets and your countertops and your sinks and faucets, and you purchase all that yourself, so you can kind of control your prices. And if you can find a better price somewhere, you can, save yourself some money. So, but they also said that due to COVID, you need to get started on finding these things and choosing things. So Dan and I have been busy trying to design the kitchen and go choose cabinets and all the stuff, which normally I would probably enjoy, but not when I'm feeling ill and not when I have very limited time to do it. So that's been more of a stressor than it's been fun. I think I have everything chosen. Kind of second guessing myself on the bathroom, but I like what I chose. I'm just not sure I was trying to keep things fairly neutral in case Dan retires in 5 years and we move someplace. So I was trying to keep it fairly neutral and something that might appeal to everybody. But that didn't happen for the bathroom. So we'll see if I stick with it or whether I overthink it and go and choose something else. I hope not, because I really did like what I chose. But I wouldn't call it necessarily neutral. So that's what's been going on. I wish I could remember where I was, because I'm sure there's going to be an awkward segue. But I can't. So, anywho, I'm going to let you go. I think I've shown, have I shown it? I think I've shown everything. I hope you'll all join us in our Out of the Stash at Last challenge, which begins tomorrow. I'm going to post my first project tonight, I think. I haven't decided what that will be yet, but I guess it'll surprise both of us, or all of us. I have a good idea. It's between two, mostly because I only have two chosen. So I still have to pick the other two. It's so hard. Hard. Anyway, I don't know that I have anything else to talk about. So I will let you go. And I will see you on Instagram and in my next Chart of the Day video. So until then, bye. Good evening, FlossTube. I'm back with the answers to the questions from my previous video that I did not have this afternoon because I left the magazines at home on my kitchen table. I'm going to start with the Amish picture. The name of that triptych is A Mid-Amish Life. It was in the Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine in 1987, and I think it was 3 separate issues. But if you go to eBay or Etsy and you type in A Mid-Amish Life, you should be able to find those quite easily. Next question was the little buildings that I had stitched. I had a couple of you wanting to know where people could find those. They're in the Stony Creek magazine, 2001. There's 4 separate issues that you'll need because there's 4 different buildings. So you want to look for July, August 2001. That looks like that. September, October. That looks like that. November, December. Looks like that. And last, but certainly not least, is January, February 2002. That looks like this. And this is the one, it has the church. I told you there were 4 different buildings. I had stitched 3, so I have the church left. And it looks like that. But I also wanted to show you, they do show all these stitched together. So you could do it that way too. I just chose to do them individually. I'm not sure why, but I did. So it says entire scene with words. To stitch, begin with Village Market in spring, which is the July-August 2001 issue. 170 stitches to the left of the horizontal center of fabric. I think that might have confused me back in the day, and that's why I did them individually. That would be my guess. And the last question was regarding the Santas that I had shown in the issue with the cardinals. So that is a just cross stitch issue, November, December 2011. And the Santas in question are these. They're called Santa portraits, and all 4 of them are in this issue. And they are beautiful. I may have to stitch those too. Oh, darn it. Dan, do you want to stitch these?
I've never really been into Santas.
What?
Never really been into Santas.
He says no.
He spited me a few times when I was a kid.
But they're really pretty.
How big are they?
I don't know. How big are they? He wants to know how big they are. Let's see how big they are.
I'm never going to finish this damn deer, so there you go.
Yeah, he's working hard on that. Doesn't give us. They're about 98 by 74.
No, that's not too bad.
So they're not huge, but they're very pretty. I think I would like them matted though. They show them framed here. But I think a nice suede mat on those would be beautiful. Don't you think?
Yes, yes.
He's going to agree with me. So there you go. That is the Just Cross Stitch Magazine November-December 2011 issue. That has the cardinals in it, and it has those 4 Santas, for those of you who were interested. And that, I think, answers... I wish I hadn't left my questions laying on the table, but I think that answers the questions. I think. So, I'm going to finish this and then put them together and get that uploaded. I already uploaded the chart of the day video, so that should be ready to go now. And then people are starting to post to the hashtag on Instagram, so check that out. It's again, the hashtag is Out of the Stash at Last, all one word. And you can follow the hashtag so you can see what everyone is working on. I need to decide which one I'm going to start with, but first I have to decide which 4 I'm going to do, which I have not thought about it. The grandkids were over this evening, so we're just getting settled in for the evening, and I haven't had a chance to think about it. So that's what I'm going to do this evening instead of stitching. And because I haven't actually stitched, I stitched just a little bit Saturday night during the Zoom, but my head was still hurting, so I didn't do a whole lot. So I really haven't stitched in over a week now. So I'm looking forward to a new start tomorrow. Maybe that'll get my stitching juices flowing. So anyway, you guys have a lovely evening, and I will see you when I see you. Take care. Bye.